Well, welcome to Golden Goal TV, and what a week it's been in the what a weekend it's been in the Premier League after our unique take on the previous show. Plenty to talk about. VAR stars once again in a flawless performance. Not Chelsea mount more pressure on Steven Gerrard. Plenty to talk about, and of course, Liverpool see red more than just their kit. So yes, plenty to cover with a panel and preview the midweek games as well. Let's go.
Kicking way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They do it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. Andrew Townsend! A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends. An immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
Yes. Plenty of action to cover. Hello. Yeah.
It's all right. It's Nick, I think.
Yeah. Right. There we go. Plenty of action to cover in the Premier League. Let's first get onto the panel. George, how's it going?
I'm good, mate. Still top of the perch. Happy days.
We'll
get more into that, but
I had someone on at the trade station in London talk about that. I could hear walking past. So yes, it's everywhere. The news is everywhere.
Mate.
No, definitely weren't you. I can tell you. Back on the show, Newcastle's very own Nick. How's it going?
I am good, thank you, Hubert. Mixed bag out of my two Newcastle teams. One drawing and one losing by 1 point to a certain team Hubert support.
You won.
Never mind.
Back in the producer's chair, Matt.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
You might want to plug in headphones in or mute yourself if you can, because we're getting echo. We're doing it live.
Little bit of issues there.
Watermark 200x200 and PNG. Image. Main. Landmark. Screenshot.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to mute you, Nick.
I'll mute you for now, Nick. There we go.
Yeah, I'm good. Right. Apologies for the technical difficulties.
It's that Geordie Wi-Fi.
Beauty of live shows.
We should actually say congratulations to, funny enough, Kevin Davis, who's actually in our introduction.
Yes.
Not Kevin Davis, sorry, Kevin Phillips. Kevin Davis was the goalkeeper. Kevin
Davis was a forward.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, you know what? I'm getting so confused with my
That's Kelvin Davis.
Kelvin. It's all. He's going to be in the first round of the FA Cup with South Shields, so congratulations to him. But yeah, on my side, all good. Looking forward to the show, and hopefully Nick is sorted out his audio problem.
Well, hopefully we'll get to Nick in a minute. First of all, let's get on to Brentford Brighton. George, I mean, fantasy-wise, you did leave Raya on the bench. Let's not talk about that much, shall we?
Yeah,
but my point is more about Ivan Toney, because he is the star for Brentford, and what he really should be is starting somewhere for England at some stage. You know, the big debate after the game was, Ivan Toney surely needs to come to Qatar.
Yeah, mate. We was actually having this discussion on Saturday when we met up about Ivan Toney. Like, if he don't go to Qatar, then it's baffling. Like, he's only playing for Brentford, no disrespect, but he's still banging in Premier League goals against teams that are not to be sniffed at. Like Brighton were in the top four, or may still be. I don't think they are now. I think Chelsea are there now, aren't they? But Brighton have had a really good start to the season, and Ivan Toney, like you bet on him to. I've talking to a friend of mine. We've had like a cheeky little bet, nothing serious. That I said Toney will score up to 15 goals this season, and I don't think he'll be far off of that in the league. But I mean, he's as a backup option to Harry Kane for the World Cup. Why not? Like, who else is there that we've got apart from him and Tammy? There ain't no one pulling up trees as an English striker in the Premier League, is there? Like, you compare him to Wilson. Toney is so much better than Wilson. Different type of strikers though, but Ivan Toney scores more goals, and that's what you need to win tournaments.
Yes, and he's talented, and I think he needs to be shown. He needs to be able to show to people what he can do. Nick, what do you think of Ivan Toney?
For people to focus on his football on the pitch, so that would be a start instead of other crap.
Nick's disappeared before you move on. So we have got Tom McGrath saying, "Hope all is well, George." Tom, see you Thursday.
Nick's hi, Tom. That's my friend.
I'm back.
Tom.
Can you hear me properly now?
Yeah, we can.
All is good.
That's my.
Just be aware, it's
friend,
quite
Tom,
windy outside my window, so that's.
The storm's turned up, has it? Yeah.
I thought that was just in Emmerdale.
No.
I didn't know you live near Emmerdale, Nick.
No.
Mind the cow stampede, if it's the Emmerdale storm. Well, okay. Well, so we had your friend Tom George. Hello, Tom. How's it going? Hope you're good.
Not the normal Tom. This one that sits near me in the Emirates. So,
too many.
So thanks for watching, mate.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
That's the only comment we've had.
Okay, so Nick, we're talking Brentford and we're talking Ivan Toney, and the big discussion obviously is, on Talk Sport. If you were brave enough to listen, Friday evening, you heard them discussing that Ivan Toney should come to Qatar. What do you think?
Well, he's in form. He's probably after Harry Kane the informed English striker in the Premier League. So, and he's scoring goals regularly, playing well. So I think he should be in the World Cup squad and go to Qatar, because there's not really many other options out there and available really. As Premier League strikers, there's just either they've been plagued by injuries, or they're just not informed. So I think definitely Antonio should be going to Qatar. For Qatar, definitely.
He should be, him and James Maddison. Obviously, let us know what you think in the comments. Please let us know what you thought of the games we discuss. Matt, your view on Brentford in general, your favourite team in the Premier League, after Arsenal. What Ivan Toney, brilliant performance by the Bees.
I'm going to keep on saying this every time we mention Brentford, fake Bees. And it winds me up when you do it, but you're laughing, but it's true, they're fake. Honestly, it's just one of those games, isn't it, where you don't know what's going to happen, and Brentford have gone and scored 2 goals. One of them was a bit penalty. George, you said about Ivan Toney scoring 15 goals. He's scored 8 in 10 appearances so far this season.
Yeah, so my bet's on quite well.
Yeah, I was going to say he might score more than that, 15.
He could quite easily.
I wouldn't be surprised if he challenges for the Golden Boot. No, I'm not saying he's going to match what Haaland does, but I don't think he'll be because I've said that I think Haaland will hit 30.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I wouldn't be surprised if, for most seasons, 20 to 25, that's around that is the sort of benchmark. I wouldn't be surprised if Toney done that.
Yeah, no.
Like you say, he's at 8 already. And when with Ivan Toney, he seems to score goals in clutches, so he'll score a couple or a hat trick there. Unless he moves in the January window, which I could see as well.
What's happened, Matt?
Tom's just Tom, your friend, said Meadows on fire. So it's still chanting all the way back from Reading there, Tom. And other Tom has said, totally agree, he should go. Good backup, in my opinion. So
I just don't see. He does the same thing what Tammy Abraham does, but instead of Tammy Abraham does it in the Italian league, which is not as competitive as the Premier League. I'm not saying it's not competitive, because it is, but I think Ivan Toney, he's a different type of striker that we ain't got as well, and other countries might not know how to deal with him. So, like I've always said, as an Arsenal fan, if Arsenal needed another striker, I'd snap Tony up like that.
Yeah, I can easily see him moving on from Brentford at some stage.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can. I think
It's
he
just
won't
a
stay
matter
at
of time.
Brentford.
It's just a matter of time, isn't it? You look at
It's too
some
good.
teams that are going to be looking at a striker, and Hubert, I'm going to say this now: Chelsea might need a striker regarding over the next 6 months. Well, maybe 4 months, because Aubameyang might decide he wants to move to Qatar or something. That
Newcastle maybe.
Chelsea could quite easily go for an Ivan Toney, and he will bring up his level. The fact that's another point that George made is because he's unknown. It is literally.
Is he unknown by now, though?
Yes.
He's over here. Like I'd say he's not over here, but European-wise,
Yeah,
I
European.
think he's still.
I guess that's correct.
I would remember when Marcus Rashford went to the Euros in 2016.
Oh, we remember. Don't worry.
They knew about him, but they didn't know exactly how to deal with him. That's what I feel would happen if Tony went.
I don't see Tony going to somewhere like Chelsea personally. Not because I think he fits Arsenal perfect. Like someone like I'm surprised that. Well, I thought Newcastle might have gone for him to bring him back.
They were linked
before,
with him one day at one point.
Yeah, before they went for Isak, but someone like that, West Ham, I could like someone like that. But I don't know why. You know, like when you just see certain players, they don't fit at that specific club. I don't think he would go. And obviously Chelsea, Brentford, I don't think that's going to really happen. I could see him at Spurs if Kane left somewhere or they needed a backup. So that I don't see him. I still don't see him going to a top club being a first choice striker. I don't think he's at that level yet, which sounds mad. But if you're playing him as a second, he's still potentially like if you're at a top like a European chasing club. If you're still playing backup, you can still have a backup striker who bands you 10, 15 goals. The 10, 15 goals for one of those clubs is a different 15 to 20 goals for a team like Brentford. So you look at Christian Eriksen, look what he done for Brentford. Now he's at Man United. He's playing well, but he's not the same Eriksen he was at Brentford.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Matt?
Yeah, I was just going to say we've got some more comments. So Haaland is a machine convinced he's a Terminator. Laughing emoji. Sorry, just joined. It was cold night at Reading last night, Matt, and there was no headset for Georgia. That's another issue that we're seeing in the WSL. They are not very disability friendly.
It was funny because at the Medeski, they said, "I will ring through to try and get you a headset," and then we got an email today saying that they don't do a headset for the women's game. So they should basically put that information through to the people that work at the stadium. So necessarily, it's not the people's fault that actually work at Reading.
No, but
it's the actual club. So
should have been communicated. Anyway, yes. Well,
so sorry. Carrying on, Ange. Beer evening, lads.
Hi, Ange. Hope you're good.
Tom, remember when Walcott went to the World Cup and sat on the bench? Well, the plan was eventually that he would be playing, wasn't it? He would come on.
Yeah, but that's a good example with Walcott. So then we'll move on to the other point. Like Walcott was 16, 17 when he done that, and for me, that ruined Walcott. I've always said that.
16 Walcott.
Yeah, 16. So that for me, he wasn't the player that he could have. Like he burst onto the scene, as Mika Richards would say. But when Walcott just sat there and done nothing, that was not a good. Like for his development, it got him around a match day squad, being at a World Cup, but it still weren't right for me. But we're like me and Hubert had this conversation on Saturday. Like all these people, but that idiot's going to pick his favourites.
Yeah,
it don't matter who. It don't matter who we think or anything. Like
or who's in form.
Or who's in form. Like we done a quick game. Like it was me, Abdi, Hubert, and our other friend Steph, and picked who we would pick now if everyone was in form and all that. And the players we picked in our first 11 were all in form now. There wasn't anyone that was out of form.
No one there that Southgate will probably pick. There we go.
He just goes Kane, and then that's it. Like, unless I'm wrong, I don't. Obviously, you guys probably watch England a lot more than I do because I just won't because of Southgate. But I can't remember the last time he actually brought on a striker, like an actual striker.
It's only really Tammy Abraham, isn't it?
I feel sorry for him. He don't really get a chance, to be honest.
No, not since he went to
Germany.
Roma.
He didn't bring Tammy on, did he?
Tom again. Does Ramsdale take the England number 1 over Pickford on current form? Tom says 100%. Ramsdale should be England's number 1.
Even I said that. I'd pick him for number 1.
On form, he does. But
unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's going to be Pickford.
And know, and the reason that Ramsdale or Pope are not, well, maybe I don't see Pope, not after his horrific game for England, but Ramsdale's got no experience now. So, like in a tournament thing, or international football as much. So he should have been playing him in these friendlies that meant absolute nothing. But instead, like I heard, I can't remember who it was talking. It said, "Oh, Jordan Pickford cemented his number 1 spot by being injured." Like, so what has Ramsdale got to do? Like, he's a goalkeeper, a team who's top of the league. He's kept clean sheets. He's made some really good saves this season. But you're picking like Pickford. Like, don't get me wrong, Pickford for England's a very, very good goalkeeper. But I suppose it's what side of the fence do you sit on? Do you pick people that are in form, or do you pick people that have done well for England? But then we could be like, keep posted with that, because when the World Cup's on, we'll have definitely a debate show about the England.
We'll be debating. And
we might be here for about 7 hours.
It'll be about 12-hour marathon. It'll be 32 hours. 32 hours.
Yeah, we'll do like one of them charity 36-hour streaks.
Yeah, like a marathon.
Yeah, well, we can do that, won't we? So, still got some more comments to go through. And again, saying Beth came second in the Ballon d'Or. Tom saying FFS with crying, mate. Say Leader was my choice. Mine too, Tom. Fuming to be up fair. We all know the Ballon d'Or is very political.
I did see Saka got 5th, didn't he?
I haven't seen it, but we all know that you can win the Euros, you can win the Golden Boot, but it doesn't matter, because as soon as you play for Barcelona and you score in the Champions League and top goal scorer, that's it.
Don't get me started on the Ballon d'Or.
And the cup double.
Ballon d'Or's another one we could discuss forever, I think, with all the controversies and
so fixed.
Anyway, carry on. Maguire or Ben White as England's centre back. She's
Maguire.
Tom's and she's quite young though. She's getting into her peak. She's 25 now, so
Maguire will go.
Tom saying bloody slabby Maguire can't tie his own boots. Just saying Benjamin. Tommy's saying Henry came second to Nedved. FSS.
We're having memory lane in the comments.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, we're going to have to move on a bit. Next game, Wolves versus Forest. Now, Nick, the game wasn't overly exciting. Wolves won 1-0 against Forest, but the more exciting part is apparently Nuno Espirito Santo is being considered for a managerial position 18 months after leaving Wolverhampton Wanderers.
And he's working at the charity shop in that time.
Well, yeah, this is quite interesting because I think Wolves are struggling to get a replacement for Bruno Lage. So I do think they are far and wide. So maybe the fact Nuno did so well the first time around, that's why they're thinking about bringing them back. But normally when a manager does so well and then leaves and then comes back, second time around, it doesn't work as well. So I'm not really sure.
So Boris Johnson done well the first time. They're not going to bring him back to take over this trust, are they?
So I don't know with that, but I do think Wolves need to make a decision over who they want and appoint it and get it over and done with. I think.
Wait a couple more weeks.
Because the longer it takes, then it might be harder to get. Because I think that's what's the scenario with Wolves, and then other clubs they want to they want to sack the managers, but it's not a great choice out there to do it. And also financially, it might cost them quite a lot of money as well.
Yes, that is true. I mean, George, Wolves, what, do you think it's going to be a couple of weeks and they'll find someone? Or
See,
will it
I'm
be
inclined to disagree with that. Like, I don't think it's that hard for Wolves to find a manager because they're not a shit side. Like, they're a stabilised Premier League team. They was only finishing outside European spots. It's not like they're a team who's just staying up. But what I think with Wolves, they have a certain emit that they've got to find a specific person that will take over.
Portuguese, preferably.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. If you've got a Nando's card, you'll get the Wolves job. But Nuno going back, it never works when people go back. It's like they say about an ex-girlfriend, never go back. But I don't know. Who else could take over? It all depends who they want to. Maybe they're waiting for the Champions League to finish because if Sporting crash out into the Europa League, will the Sporting manager think, no, I don't want to do Europa again. I'll go to there. Like it's inclined to agree with Nick. There's not loads and loads of people out there, but I was seeing today Villa have been linked with Pochettino if Gerrard goes. So why not? Wolves might as well just say, "Oh, what about Pochettino? Do you fancy it?" There's not much difference between Villa and Wolves.
That is true.
Realistically, and they're only up the road from each other. So, so if he still likes his Indian takeaways, he's still got the city of Birmingham. He's fine. But I don't know. I'm hoping Arsenal have got Wolves in a couple of weeks. So I'm hoping they ain't got a manager by then because the new manager bounced. But I suppose the only thing that could help Nuno is that he didn't leave on bad terms when he went to Spurs.
Yeah.
So that's the only. But I don't have an issue with Wolves. They moan about over-celebrating, but they're not really a threat to any top teams. So for their fans, good luck to them. Under Nuno, they did play some nice football. Like, you have to be honest there. I just think with Wolves, the reason they've struggled is because you've got to think of the players they've lost.
Yeah.
And they've not, like Jota, they've sort of lost Jimenez. Like, I know he's back now, but with that really horrendous head injury. Then they lost, it's gone out my head.
Neto?
Yeah, Neto, he got injured, didn't he? And then the Connor Cody to Everton, I still can't get my head around that.
I don't understand that at all because they wanted to play
Patricio. They lost Patricio, didn't they? And so I don't know. I don't think Wolves are in as bad as a state that people want to make out as they are. But I still think they're a very appealing job.
It's so it'll be interesting to see who takes over at Wolves. Matt, on the other hand, let's move on to talk about Forest.
Yeah,
another loss.
Go on. Just before we go into that, and says like Nuno, and it is Wolves, and says yes. So
yeah.
It makes sense.
We're talking about Forest, weren't we? So
another loss. Steve Cooper, new contract. Was it bad timed considering the form of in Steve Cooper we trust?
I think the problem is that for the Forest social media, whoever did that, might find themselves without a job in a minute because they threw a gauntlet at Wolves with one of their players. I think it was Gibbs White, playing with three Wolves players. And then at full time, because it finished 1-0, the Wolves bit back with. I didn't do that on purpose, I swear. They bit back with the chop down tree to say playtime's over, and I think that sort of plays a part when you try and do mind games on social media. It makes it a lot worse. So I think you're going to see things.
Only
like
works if you run the Specsavers Twitter account.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, this game it wasn't full of surprise or anything like that. At this point in time, we've said it that Forest need to gel, and Steve Cooper has said that he's trying to invite the entire team to do activities together, whether it's they invite them all to go bowling or all the team have to be doing team activities together. I'm expecting like over the World Cup, them all to just go to Go Ape or something, or see them at a PGML.
Let's all go to Hollywood Bowl or Top Golf.
Yeah,
to stay up.
Just to sort of like get themselves into team building exercises. Maybe that's what they need as well alongside the training, because honestly, bringing in over 20 odd players in one transfer window, you're taking a huge risk, and then you're hoping that come January, that because you've overbought in the summer, that they're going to see you over the line and you're not going to need to spend it in January anymore. But at the moment, it doesn't look good, and you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the problem with Forest. You don't know what they're sitting bottom of the league. If I double check,
They are bottom because Leicester's draw.
Bottom of the league with 5 points alongside Leicester, and that tells you a lot of story. Considering that Leicester brought literally no one in the summer, and Forest overspent because of, I think Georgie mentioned in the past that they had problems getting players because a lot of players either wanted to leave or they had a load of players leave back on loan. So it's a win you lose sort of situation for them, and perhaps maybe it's one of those games. Okay, it's 1-0, but they're going to learn from it and they'll go again, and hopefully. I think the idea is that Steve Cooper is going to be the man to build them back up, build on this experience. Even if they go down, they'll look back at it and go, right, okay, we're going to go again this time next season. We want to be promoted. We don't want to go through the playoffs again. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. Tom's just saying, George, take care, fella. See you Thursday. Great show, lads.
Cheers, mate.
I think that's time. No, two fists. So. Having an early one shattered, right? Okay, just this game. I think it was just one of those games where it was always going to end up being a Wolves win.
Oh, well, we'll have to see what happens with both teams. It will be quite interesting. It's a tricky one, but yeah, we'll see. Moving on to Sunday's games now.
Oh God.
Well, George, we'll start with you with the Southampton game, since before we started the show, you guys had some views on it. So what do you think? Southampton West Ham 1-1. Is the Southampton goals that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, so obviously the game on the whole, I watched the highlights because obviously I was up in Reading watching Arsenal with the WSL. It was West Ham were unlucky, to be fair. Like, I thought they should have had a penalty towards the end on Thomas Kuszczak, but that wasn't given. David Moyes was a bit aggrieved about that, and I don't blame him. But the Southampton goal, Perro,
yeah, you said it right first time.
Yeah, it was a good goal, but like how it was allowed to be given is beyond me. Like, so the referee was in Jared Bowen's way when he was trying to clear the ball, and the ball's gone through to Perro, and then he put it in the back of the net. Like, surely that's like the referee's interfering with the play. And I just don't get it. VAR looked at it and said there was nothing wrong with it. And I was like, but he's blocked Bowen. How? So, like, if you had fantasy points, the referee should have got the assist points there, because that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's inconsistencies again with VAR, isn't it? Like, I'm not complaining about VAR, but as a football fan, they need to do something. Like, we'll come to VAR stuff with the Arsenal game. But...
yeah, we haven't even gotten started on that one. Nick, what's your view on West Ham's performance? I mean, they looked a bit tired after the Europa Conference League tie against Anderlecht, so they were a bit leggy, but they still did quite best to get back into it, equalise?
I wouldn't say they would be leggy because they made changes from the midweek game, so they did have chances to score, but they just didn't take them, and I just think they were unlucky and things didn't go their way. Because that definitely should have. That referee definitely was obstruction against Bowen. So I think he would have put a tackle in, but hey, so yeah, it was quite interesting. I think West Ham at the moment defensively, they got quite a lot of injury at the back, so it's affected them quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with those defensive injuries against Liverpool midweek. But I think Southampton need to improve their form because if they don't, then Hasenhüttl will probably come under quite a bit of pressure in the next few weeks.
Matt, what did you think?
So I'm just double checking the goal, and George is right. The referee has been in the way. So in fairness, what should have happened, because this actually happened, funny enough, again in the WSL, where the referee the ball's bounced off the referee, and Man City basically scored from it up during that phase of play. The rule is if the referee is deemed to have touched the ball, then they have interfered with play, and that it's a free kick to the. I can't remember if it's a free kick to the team that was in possession or if it's a free kick to. I think it depends on the situation.
It's meant to be a drop ball, so whoever the drop ball is meant to go. The new rule is it's meant to go as a drop ball, but the advantage is supposed to go to the team that
so it would have been a drop ball,
obviously that were attacking, but it don't work like that.
It's an odd one, but it's right there that it should have not been allowed. But it's again.
I thought the ref was offside, if I'm being honest.
Just away from that, her clearance was half. It wasn't a great clearance to begin with, and
no,
then
it wasn't. To be fair,
on top of that, the fact that the referee is in the way of two players trying to get into the ball, it's poor movement for the referee. Usually, the whole point of a referee is that you're out of the way of the players to let them play, not to be in there. Trying to have a kickabout or anything like that, or try and score a worldie, let alone it's an odd one. But again, coming back from this, I'll come back, continuing going back on Hasenhüttl, and there's a lot of fans now saying that they've had enough. They are third from bottom, 18th in the league now. They haven't. That's a good point. They have the last points apart from West Ham was before the Wolves game, which they, funnily enough, also lost. So it's just they're not having.
They only won 2 of the last 16,
and sooner or later, it's just if the fans are having enough on social media, the fans are going to get back on the side. The best way to do it is to get those 3 points, and it doesn't come any better for them. They've got Bournemouth in their game this week, midweek. I believe it's tomorrow, actually. So it's difficult for Southampton at the moment because of where they stand. I don't understand what's going on. I don't think maybe it's because they had new recruit. The head of recruitment is now was the ex-Man City academy manager. So he's brought in a load of Man City players, which means that Ralph Hasenhüttl was relying on youth again instead of some experience, and that's not helping. And again, we're talking about players that could be going to a World Cup. Shay Adams, though he is playing for Scotland now, he could have been eligible to play for England, and honestly, he would have brought something a bit different.
I don't think he's good enough, to be honest.
There was also Stuart Armstrong, who's who's the striker? Stuart Armstrong. Another striker. I think he's injured at the moment. So they're just having so many problems that they just can't get a team together. And you kind of feel sorry for James Ward-Prowse. You talk about a set piece specialist, especially for England, and he can't even get into the team. Mr. Sideways, backwards, and verbally abuse every Brazilian on a team is getting in ahead of you, which makes no sense. I think Tom is complaining that I'm moaning at the moment with a laugh emoji, calling me Jose Mourinho. It's just the way Southampton fans are at the moment. They don't feel enthused as much as some other fans.
That's right. Got Arsenal on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for that game on Sunday. That's beside the point. But yeah, so I just fair play to West Ham from Declan Rice for actually getting back into the game, because usually when they go 1-0 down, you never know what's going to happen. There is a couple of times where David Moyes has gone to Southampton, they've gone 1-0 down and they haven't recovered. I hope Hubert's not asleep.
Well,
no, he's there.
Moving on to the next game, Manchester United versus Newcastle next. So, Nick, you've held both Manchester teams to a draw this season so far. What do you think how Newcastle are doing?
I think Newcastle have been. I think they've done really well this season so far. I think, we had the better of it first half against Man United, and then second half Man United were the better team, but United did enough to.
About 8 goals disallowed, didn't they?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, there was a claim for penalty for Callum Wilson and Sancho in that match, wasn't given, and then Ronaldo had the ball in net, but it was disallowed twice because in the same instance, because one he was offside, and then he claimed, and then he put the ball in net again and disallowed because he claimed the free kick had already been taken, so clean wasn't so. But the fact in the first 10 games we've only lost once, having to play Liverpool, Man United away, and Man City at home, I would have taken that definitely.
How many you won?
3.
Yeah, this comes to my point. What I'll say when you're finished, but
yeah. So there have been games at home that we have done well, performed well, but just not being clinical enough. And also decision haven't gone away. So I would have liked a few more points, but the problem is we've got Alexander Isak and Saint-Maximin won't be back till after World Cup now, because the injuries because the sub is a setback with the same injuries, so that's a bit of concern. So I think we need in January to get more strength and depth with our squad, because when key players get injured, we will struggle.
Well, there's definitely plenty of concerns. I mean, George, what did you think of the game?
And
in general, I mean,
yeah, like 0-0. Oh, yeah, I was positive about that because I had Pope and Trippier in my FPL. That was all I really cared about, to be honest. I'd say it was more drop points for United, what they don't want to be doing, like they're falling a bit further away. I will say I thought the Sancho penalty should have been a penalty. I don't understand why that wasn't given.
Was it possibly, George, the way Sancho went down, possibly the referee should not to give it?
Yeah, but there's contact, mate, isn't there? Like, as soon as there's contact made, that's what VAR's meant to be there for, to see that contact. So I don't understand with VAR. I see why it weren't given, but if you were saying to me, should it have been given? Yes. Like, if that was my team, I'd be feeling aggrieved. But if it was against my team, I'd be thinking, no, that's not a penalty. But when it comes to Newcastle, I think they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like, like you've highlighted the positives. Yeah, you drew with Man United and Man City, and was it Liverpool?
We lost 2-1 to Liverpool.
Oh, you lost
but
to Liverpool. Sorry.
Yeah, it was last minute goal.
That was it. Right. So out of the first 10 games, you've only won 3. So you're seeing the positives and the negative side there. They draw too many games for me, Newcastle. So to become a top 6, top 7 team, what they're obviously aiming to do now, they've got to convert more of their draws into wins. It's fine. You've won 3 out of 10, and 2 of the draws that you've got against United and City, but they've got to turn them into wins for me to be seen as a serious threat. At the minute, they're not. I think it's right what Nick says. When they have key players out, that's when they get hurt and punished. They need to build up a squad. But we could say that about other teams that are in the league at the minute. But yeah, that 0-0 at United for Newcastle. It's not. Whoever plays Newcastle is going to have a game on their hands. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. Playing Newcastle is not an easy 3 points anymore. But I think United will probably be disappointed. Obviously, that had the goals disallowed from Ronaldo. Yeah. Then again, the first one only that got disallowed, but then the second one would have been disallowed because of the first one. It's just mad. But as an Arsenal fan, United dropping points in the battle for like top 3 is you have to maximise what you do when these teams drop points.
Matt, what did you think?
Well, I'm just looking at the stats because I haven't actually seen the highlights or anything, but
No, there weren't many.
both of them had 2 shots on target, whereas
That's...
United had 15 to their 9, and it just shows you the United were knocking on the door but just couldn't get it away. The fact that Kieran Trippier was player of the match, it probably shows
that is one positive I'll say about Newcastle. Kieran Trippier has had a very, very good season so far, and if we're going on form for the World Cup, if Trippier don't start right back, then I just lose all will to live.
I don't think
because he can ban in a free kick as well, Trippier. So if you're not going to play Ward Prowse on the set pieces side of it, at least play with Trippier, because you know the amount of balls he could ban into that box or even score. What we've seen for England and Newcastle.
He did make a difference as well when he played Tranmere this season in that 2-1 win.
Tranmere, a good side, mate.
They are, and you started nicking the Saliba chant, tequila chant from
do they play in the conference or something? Don't they? Or something?
League Two.
No, League Two.
They're actually a professional.
That's beside the point. At the moment, I just you kind of getting speechless when it comes to these sorts of games. Usually, Newcastle, you think of having those European games away. They do need to start winning these sorts of games now if they're gonna, in 5 years' time, say go and be a title challenger. But I don't think it's happening next season. I don't think it will happen the season after. I think it will be. You're looking at maybe 3 seasons down the road.
Their goal is to get European football. For me, no, that's this season. So
and Eddie Howe should be able to do that. He nearly did it with Bournemouth.
But I don't mean they've got to go and beat teams like City, United. That's not. You're getting points against them. They're good results. But what I mean is when you're playing against lesser teams, like no disrespect, and getting draws. Like I'm trying to think of who they've drew against this season.
Palace.
We drew at Brighton.
Yeah.
Palace, Bournemouth at home were the disappointing ones, especially with
Bournemouth.
the
there you go. There's like Palace and Bournemouth. If you want to get European football, you're wanting to win those games, aren't you? Realistically.
Yeah, definitely. And
especially
was
at
a different-
home as well.
Yeah.
Hubert?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There we go. Right, I've got the list of games here. Right. Moving on to the next game, and well, VAR. VAR starring once again in a different way this time. Leeds Arsenal started, played for 90 seconds or so, and then all went to pot. George, the game restarted about what 39 minutes later.
Yeah, something like that. Obviously, I know cost of living's playing up, but I think Leeds need to know how to pay their electric bill. So it's just ridiculous. Like, so they had a power cut. This is during the day,
Yeah.
and they couldn't play because they couldn't use the VAR headset. Have they got eyes? Use what you do what you used to do before VAR was a thing. But hey ho, we moved with that. And then Chris Kavanagh brought everyone out and realised that they'd paid Eon or whoever they use their energy bill with. Maybe the government gave them their 150 quid or something just to get them through. So, and I said, I think I said this on the show last time. I said it'll be a really hard game, and Peter was like, "Oh, no, it's only Leeds." And for me, that was quite a huge test.
That was nearly 1-1.
Well, I don't. It obviously we got the goal. Saka, amazing goal. Top bins from Bukayo. Just how we turned the ball over, it went bang. Odegaard puts it through, and Saka. And that's why for me, like he scored. What is it? 3 goals in match-winning positions in the last week. So for me, that's why he's elevating himself again. Like I said, Bukayo Saka was world class a few weeks ago, and I think it was Abdi was like, I don't think he's not at that level yet. For me, he is now. Everything we're doing goes through. Everyone says about Foden, Bukayo Saka's on that level for me at the moment. And then we just like Leeds were the better side for the rest for the most of that game. Like they brought Bamford on, he tore Saliba and Gabriel to shreds. Really, to be fair, like no one's done that this season. Then they got the penalty. Bamford put it wide, and you're thinking, "Oh, is it going to be our lucky day?" It was a penalty. So there's no arguments with that. And then obviously VAR kicked in towards the end of the game with a penalty and the Gabriel red card. It weren't a penalty. I think VAR made the right decision there. The only thing I think they made probably the wrong decision as if I am a proper football fan and not blinkered, is Gabriel probably should have been sent off. Because whenever you kick out at someone, whether Bamford started it or not, you can't do that, Gabriel. And even Mikel said that like he needs to learn. He's lucky just to get away with a yellow, but it would have been a free kick anyway because it was outside the box when he done it. And that's what I would like. It's a hard fought win. Like if you want to be at the top of the table, they're the sort of games that you have to win. You don't play that good, but you manage to you have that grit and determination to get that victory. So that's another win. Like last season, I still think if we played like that, we would have lost or got a draw. We wouldn't have won that. So we have a character at Arsenal now, and Aaron Ramsdale, he's got to be the biggest shithousery player that exists in that Premier League.
He is, surely, the things he does.
He's got to be like who's giving it back to Leeds. And my argument with this is, and I think it is right. If you're mouthy enough as a supporter and abusive enough to give it to a player, when a player gives it back to you, don't cry like a little bitch. Personally,
if you provoke the player to then give it back to you, then what do you expect to happen?
And I would say that about anyone. Like if obviously we've got difference in opinions when someone celebrates in front of a crowd, like what in that sort of sense. Like if Aubameyang scores against Arsenal when Chelsea play and he goes and runs up, like you're putting yourself in that position. But all Leeds done was gave Ramsdale absolute pelters that whole game. Like, you heard it, like, on the radio when they went through it, and the videos that are coming out, they've been calling him a dickhead and stuff like that. Ramsdale gets back to him and they want to kill him. Like, so, like, Ramsdale, for me, is what, like, he's got to be the biggest person that does that. I don't know anyone who does it to the length of Ramsdale
I
does.
just find it funny.
Yeah.
Like, I know people
I'm
are
not
saying,
an
"Oh,
Arsenal
but
fan, I find it hilarious."
when Richarlison does it, you hate him." But it's completely different. Like, because
I think-
Ramsdale's giving back banter what he gets, where Richarlison's scum. Like, what he done against Nottingham Forest and what he's done before. Apparently, he done something against Everton as well. Was it against Everton? Yeah, Everton. But on the whole, I'm absolutely delighted we got the win. There's a lot of our fan base on social media. It's like, oh, but you can't be happy. Yeah, we're not going to play brilliant, beautiful football every flipping week. As long as if we play like that every week and won the league, I won't give two fucks.
It doesn't matter how you play. If you win, you win. The win's a win at the end of the day.
So,
as long as you get the 3 points.
In that sort of thing, like now we've got Jesus and Saliba on yellows. So if they get one more, they're suspended. So it's not encouraged. But if I was Mikel Arteta, I may say to him, just go and play Southampton, get the game won. But if you give away a silly yellow card, it's not the end of the world. Because I'd rather have William Saliba and Gabriel Jesus out of the Nottingham Forest game at home than playing away against Chelsea. So,
well, yeah.
But, yeah, on the whole, I'd say it was a fair result. Probably would have been a draw because Leeds absolutely dominated it in the second half.
And there was a disallowed Patrick Bamford goal.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I think, to be fair, he did push like Gabriel, so there was. You'd feel aggrieved on that, but I just think we rode our luck, got away with it. Like, a lot of people, other fans are calling us Vars and all that, and I've never had so much crap in my life. Like, we have gone absolute ages without having decisions, and we've had a couple, and then it's the end. Like, everyone's like, "Oh my god, Arsenal!" Apparently, Gabriel. They want to know how much Gabriel's paid VAR because he's got away with a couple. Yeah, he has been lucky, but the amount of players I could name that VAR have assisted over since its
happened
inception.
to everyone, really.
Yeah, it swings around, and this.
Look what happened to Thiago Silva against Palace.
Oh yeah, the inconsistencies.
If that wasn't luck,
I
don't know what is.
Yeah, the inconsistencies is what drives people mad, and but Arsenal have been on the positive side of it. Like, next week or the weekend, we could be on the wrong side. So, I will say, I don't want to make this all about Arsenal. I thought Leeds have played very, very well, and I thought Patrick Bamford was he's the lead of where they play their pressing football. So if they can get Patrick Bamford firing and getting goals, they'll be up. They're in a false position, Leeds. Yeah, their Leeds are in a false position. For me, they should be a lot higher in that table. Problem with Leeds, they play really well and should be scoring, and then they still end up losing the game. The same thing happened against Palace that happened against us. But I think Leeds will be fine. I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds get 10th, 11th, that sort of. So we move. We've got Southampton on Sunday. Everyone knows my opinions on that.
You'll manage this good win for us.
I'm actually probably more worried about Southampton than I have been about any of the other recent games, because we have such a horrific record at Southampton. At home, we demolish them easily, but at Southampton, probably the best thing that could happen to Arsenal is Southampton beating Bournemouth and not going in on a really horrific record. But we'll see. Arsenal seem to be different this season. I think there's something special brewing now.
You're a very different team. You're Arsenal. You had a bad record at Southampton, but you're a very different team now. So it's going to be a very different comparison, very different thing to look at.
But obviously, we have got a big game on Thursday as well, so it all depends how we come out of that one.
the game against PSV. Right, Nick, talking about Leeds, I mean, they are a surprise package and it did play really well against Arsenal, and it has to be said that you have to be careful not to underestimate Leeds.
Definitely not. I think this season Leeds have been improved under Jesse March with the players they managed to bring in. They signed some really good players, and their squad is much deeper. I think they struggled last season with quite a lot of injuries. I think if Patrick Bamford is fully fit and he's on the form that he had when in the first season when Leeds were back up, I think he will get goals. He'll get goals in the Premier League, and Leeds will be fine. I think they're in a false position. They played really well against Arsenal. They just could not convert the chances they created, and Arsenal definitely rode the luck. But under previous seasons, they would have probably not have won. So credit to the character and the grit Arsenal have got now under Arteta, and also the decisions went their way, but I think they deserve to get that luck because in the past, they've had decisions have gone against them. So yeah, it was quite an interesting match, and Arsenal move on and have their 4-point lead.
Matt, what was your thoughts about the VAR fiasco is on its. I mean, it was chaos. But what did you think of the whole thing in general?
So I didn't get to see the first half, but
not many of us did when it was originally scheduled to happen, though.
I managed to catch a bit of the highlights from Saka's goal, and the fact is that he's pretty much right near the goal line, and just by the 6-yard box, and he's hit it pretty much. I'll say that from about, I'm gonna say it's about 8 yards right into the top corner, and the goalkeeper has the advantage in that situation for him to hit it like that high and that hard straight into the top corner like that. That is impressive, and he's getting a award. He's getting celebrated for things like tonight, where he's at the Ballon d'Or with also Beth Mead and Vivian Miedema. But it shows that he has become so deadly that you don't know when he's going to next strike, and that is so influential onto how Arsenal are playing. Is that if Saka doesn't get the ball, you know he's going to give the ball to Martinelli, or he'll give it to Jesus, or he's going to give it to Odegaard, and someone in that team is going to get the goals to win the games.
We don't just rely on Saka now. This is it. No. Like Jesus probably had one of his worst games for Arsenal against Leeds, but Martinelli. But then you got Saka. If he don't score, you got Odegaard. You got we get goals on Gabriel or Saliba at the back. Then you've got. When you see him bringing on people like Kieran Tierney and Edin Nketiah, like we've got options, or Vieira or someone like that.
Squad depth, which is what you've.
I think we still need another 2 or 3 players. To be honest, I think another backup for Partey, backup for Saka, and maybe I'd say another centre forward. But that's if they're going for the title. For a top 4 finish, what their original goal is, I think a couple more players. And with Saka, he scored 2 in 10 last season, at one stage, and now he scored 5 in 7. So he's been practicing converting these shots into goals as well, which for the position he plays for England is really key as well, because where he's challenging against Grealish, Foden, Mount, Sancho, all them sort of people. And I just think from what he's been through, he's only 20 years old.
He's now converted all of his penalties since he's
missed. Since he's missed, he ain't missed a penalty. And
So look what that's done to him. Look, he used that as something to motivate him.
And you think the penalties he's took, they were match winners against you guys, Hubert, and Man United.
Don't remember that one.
You know what I mean? So they're not silly penalties. Like the first 2 penalties he took after what happened were big game penalties.
He didn't let it stop him.
For me, like everyone says, like with Martin Ødegaard, the ceilings, like you can break the ceiling because his talent, so it's just unlimited. But Saka, like
you've got lots of players at Arsenal like that though at the moment. That talent,
Saka and Martinelli for me, and Ødegaard. I think Saka could easily, for me, fit into any team that's playing at the moment.
His ability can easily fit into teams. What were you going to say, Matt?
Because you asked me about the VAR decisions as well. I don't know if it was the one that Bamford scored, but originally one of the other players that was playing the ball, he was offside, and they
it was Bamford.
VAR didn't pick up the guy that was offside, but they picked up Gabriel being tugged. I don't understand that rule, to be honest. If there's anything to rule out, they need to. There was an offside that they decided not to give, and there was no. Again, this is something that might come into fruition in the next couple of years. Is that we might be end up having the refs mic'd up because
I would love to see that.
It has happened before.
They can't even pay for the electric to get the headset working.
Tony Adams ended up swearing at the referee and Graham George as well, and he forgot about the player, but the players didn't even realise about that. That was against Sheffield Wednesday, 92, 93, something like that, during an FA Cup replay, I think it was. But yeah, beside the point, VAR has this thing where there could be 3 or 4 fouls within a group and or one set of attack, and one of them could be given, one of them could not be given. Well, you've seen it in the Champions League. Was it Leverkusen had a penalty? Porto scored.
Well, that game was incredible,
but it was disallowed because
and given handball given to Leverkusen as a penalty.
Yeah, and then they go and miss the penalty. So then you basically disrupted something so pure because of something that has it's happened, but there should be an option to have something. There needs to be something in the middle there. With Gabriel hitting out on, I think it's kind of the right call, but at the same time, it shouldn't have happened. Personally, opposite with what happened in the WSL, with both players reacting as they have, they should have actually been both sent off. That's because Bamford wasn't.
I don't think Bamford's done that much wrong.
But Bamford was going at it all game, and if he's going through it all game and he's only just gotten the one yellow card, he should have been sent off because he was
just playing like a normal striker, mate. Gabriel's the one who's kicked out.
He was goading them, and he was making sure.
Yeah, but goading, you don't get booked for goading. Gabriel's the one who was stupid. He's the one who's kicked out. All Bamford done was pushed him.
There's a lot more.
Right,
I'll give you the example. The example is that in the WSL, you had Aston Villa player Mailing ends up pushing and shoving it and goading Sissoko. Sissoko gets sent off for the slapping Mailing not once but twice. Actually, no, it was 3 times. So she's been sent off for violent conduct. While Mailing, as also this has turned out that she's verbally abused the player and goading her. If Bamford was doing that as well,
but that's 2 different examples.
How is that 2 different? Well, okay,
because you're saying that Sissoko has slapped someone 3 times. When if that's the case, then she deserves to be sent off.
Mailing got the yellow card. No,
but Bamford was playing like
I think
a normal striker.
They said. I think the reason they downgraded it was saying that Bamford initiated. There was a foul by Bamford first.
Rightly, he was also simulating for Was he simulated for diving? Was that what he got?
No, he can't dive if he's kicked it.
No, he missed him.
He didn't, mate. He hit him. That's why he got booked. Like I don't really care. Like Gabriel plays for my team, but Gabriel can't go. He can't kick out. Yeah, Bamford. Bamford should have. Bamford got booked, I'm told, but Bamford didn't. All he done was pushed him. The example you've given is in a different game. You can't slap someone like three times.
In the aftermath, as he's pushed him and Gabriel's gone down and and Gabriel's put his foot out. I don't know whether or not there's enough there to touch him for him to go down for the penalty, but it looks like simulation. And if it's simulation, that's another yellow card, and he should have been sent off. So it should, in theory, both of them should have been sent off.
Yeah.
Their reaction.
We'll agree to disagree on that.
I think it's probably best to agree to disagree on that.
I'll be here all night.
We could debate these decisions all night.
We don't want to do another Abdi and George special, do we?
No, we've lost the golden goal boxing gloves. We need to find them again. Right. Well, we'll move on to another game unless there are any comments.
No, the last comment was Tom calling me Jose.
Next game, I think. We'll talk Villa-Chelsea, where Chelsea beat Aston Villa 2-0, mounting more pressure on Steven Gerrard. Yep, see what I did there. And, I mean, Nick, there's been rumours that, we've already mentioned this, that Villa are potentially, apparently looking at Pochettino, but nothing really has been mentioned about Steven Gerrard being even sacked yet. So, what do you think of this whole situation? Do you think Gerrard needs to go? Do you think that's the answer? Do you think that's what needs to change?
No, I don't think that's the thing to change. I think the players need to play better, really. They need to take responsibility, because I don't think it's Gerrard that's the problem. It's the players their form are not playing well, and they're just not performing. But there was quite a number of opportunities for Villa to score against Chelsea when I was listening to the updates, and just didn't take them at all. So that was the issue. So I think if Villa can, players like Wandia, Coutinho, Watkins, Ings, McGinn, and Jacob Ramsey, if they can all improve and play like they can do, then Villa should not have that problem. Chelsea, I think, are ticking along nicely. Since Graham Potter's was appointed, still unbeaten, and if they beat they are now fourth, so they are playing some good football. So yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see what Chelsea do next. For definite.
Yes, George, when it comes to Villa, I mean, you've had players, a lot of these players like last season played, even last season played a bit better. This season, they don't seem to be even doing that for Villa. Is that Gerrard's fault, or what do you think is the problem?
See, I thought Villa actually played quite well against you boys on Sunday, from what I watched. They just didn't take their chances, and the difference was Chelsea did. Chelsea absorbed the pressure, and obviously Mount changed the game, getting these 2 goals. But I actually didn't think Villa were that bad. I thought Chelsea were a bit lucky in certain parts of the game.
Defensively, there was problems. I think Cucurella went off quite early, but he did look very bad when he was on the pitch.
So I think if Villa took their chances, it's a different game, isn't it? But so I don't know. Gerrard and Villa don't seem. Maybe too much has happened behind the scenes that we don't know about. Like obviously with Tyrone Mings.
Yeah. That's all I'm thinking.
I think maybe it is time for a change. It's just one of those things that's just not worked for Gerrard. I wouldn't say it means he's a shit manager or something, because, I was going to say that, but Scottish football levels of that, we know, you know what I think about that level. So, yeah, I think it'll be tight. He could go soon. Who's Villa got this week?
They're Fulham.
Fulham, yes.
If Villa don't win at Fulham, I think he's gone. But then I've said that about Rodgers for the last few weeks. But I don't see how it's a point of a no return if you lose to Fulham or don't beat Fulham when you're a manager of Villa.
Well, against promoted teams so far, Villa have only got 1 point out of a possible 6.
Yeah, because they drew against Forest, didn't they?
Yeah, they lost 2-0 to Bournemouth.
Lost to Bournemouth. And with Chelsea, I think they're doing really well under Potter now. He's got player now. He wants them. I saw Martin Keown calls him the chameleon because he changes his tactics every week. And I think what he's done with Mount, I think where Mount is so flexible, he plays in all different types of positions. It's a bit like Trossard did at Brighton under Potter. Like you saw how his levels escalated. And recently, I think Mason Mount's done really well. Like he scored his first couple of goals, but before that, he's got a couple of assists. So, yeah, I think they're all starting to sing to the Potter tune, wave that magic, and but I was saying to you, Hugh, but it'd be interesting to see what Chelsea are like when they play someone who's a test.
Well,
and
it's not long to go.
Yeah, and you've got Man United, I think, coming up, haven't you?
Saturday.
Yep, coming up on Saturday. So.
Yeah, on Saturday. So, and then you've got us, which Chelsea, I suppose you never know they're going to turn out.
Yeah,
but so it'd be interesting to see how you guys do there.
I think that will be quite telling. I mean, what Potter's doing, I think, this month, because he's got so many games, he's trying out different things and see what works best and what doesn't.
And it's worked for him so far. Like, and I wish him luck. Like, obviously, he's manager of one of my rivals, so I hope he don't do too well being there. But like I was saying to you on Saturday, I really thought he could have been the New England manager, which he still could.
I think he still can. Absolutely.
There you go. He doesn't seem to be worried about that jump from being Brighton manager to a Chelsea job. And that is a big jump.
It is a huge jump, and that was my concern. Will he cope with it? And so far,
obviously, it's still early, but
it's still early to tell. But
like, if he gets you in the top 4 and wins you a trophy, then that's a successful season. Or like he could compete. Like, there's nothing to say that it won't be Man City, Arsenal, and Chelsea battling for that top.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'll take.
Not
top
saying not saying we're going to win it or you guys are going to win it, because I don't think. I think first place is already took. I think it's just the rest of us are battling for second. But all you can do is, like I say about Arsenal, is win your games.
Yeah, pick up wins when you can, and hope where it gets you. I think top 4 and a trophy would be decent, even not even without a trophy, but a top 4 finish, considering where we were at the beginning of the season with a new manager now. I'd take it, but I think Graham Potter definitely deserves time to see how he's coping well so far. And it definitely has to be said, he's a great manager. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Again, I haven't really seen the highlights, so I can't really speculate too much. But the fact that Chelsea have got the win over the line was probably expected, to be honest. And I think you're looking at Steven Gerrard now, and he's lost that little touch that he had. I don't know, as Nick and George mentioned, whether it's the players or maybe there's something going on behind the scenes where...
I think that's the more likely situation, because something has to be happening.
And
they're not bad players.
They did well last season. They did much better. So
it's a very odd situation. It's just a case of maybe when. They've also got Brentford at home on Saturday. So
it's on and off playing Sunday, brother.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
No, Sunday, because
Sunday. Yes, Sunday. Yeah, so
if they don't get 6 points out of them two, then they'll be gone.
Yeah. I think this is the problem now. We're coming into the Halloween/Christmas period where it's everyone's on the chopping block, and it's a case of...
Well, you've got a World Cup.
You've got the World Cup. Plenty of time for Premier League clubs to make managerial decisions.
It's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But I think if we were to all preview the Villa Chelsea game live, I think we all would have been sitting here going, it's going to be Chelsea's to lose. And Chelsea didn't lose it. So fair play to Chelsea and fair play to Graham Potter, because he's been very humble about everything as well. Go from university manager to coaching in Sweden to Europa League, and then coming out over to his Swansea, Brighton, now over at Chelsea. It hasn't taken over his personality. His personality, he's still that humble guy from Sweden that came over to Sweden whenever he was and did those media interviews with BT and everyone for the Europa League. It's fantastic to see. It'll be interesting to see how far Chelsea can go, and if, like George mentioned, if Chelsea can get you close to a trophy, or it's a sign of progress. Maybe semi-finals might be somewhere. It's a sort of landmark. And
I think if it was still under Tommy Tickle, I would have said a trophy's a must. But because of the manager change, I think expectations have to be changed a little bit, but not massively.
He's going to be given a time, though. That's the important.
Well, he has to be.
He's going to be given what, maximum of about 3 years, I'd say.
Yeah, it all depends. We don't know what Todd Bowley's like, do we?
Difficult to tell with Todd Bowley. I mean, with Tuchel, apparently, from what I've heard, it was coming during the American tour when they weren't getting on with certain things. So the fact that he
didn't want a Bamia.
No.
Todd Bowley. And Tuchel basically pushed for a Bamia.
Well, the reason Tuchel pushed for him because he worked with him before, so if there was anyone that could get the tune out of him, it would have been him.
And that's what you got to feel. If you've got an owner that don't like that, I've always said this: owners just need to let the managers get on with their job.
At the end of the
when
day,
they start interfering, it's dangerous ground.
Well, it causes friction, and if friction's caused, then that will impact the club in general. Right. Well, one more game to move on before we preview a few of the midweek games, and
Leicester
that is
Palace.
Absolutely. How did you know?
Abdi's Danny Ward.
Abdi's. I mean, it's good that Abdi didn't have Danny Ward on the bench. He got that. Oh wait, no, never mind. Anyway, moving on. Poor Abdi. Liverpool, Man City. Liverpool winning 1-0. George, Klopp seeing red not only on his Liverpool players but on himself.
Yeah. As you know, I do not like Liverpool, but it was hard for me because obviously I don't like Liverpool, but I didn't want City to win. But I didn't cheer when Liverpool won. Scored. I was just like, oh, cool, thanks. I will say the Foden goal that got disallowed, I was a bit baffled with that when it first happened. I watched it, but Haaland did pull him back. But it's like I was saying to people, like, do they want a contact football to be a contact sport or not? Like, they
had to play in Zorbing Ball soon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, if you're a City fan, you think, oh, that's a harsh. That goal probably should have stood. But especially with the way,
I don't think it would have done because they would have said Alisson was fouled.
Yeah, but it weren't a foul. There weren't nothing in it. Like, especially the fouls that the referee was letting go. Like, it was like a proper old-fashioned Premier League game. There was fouls flying in and everything. So, I get why, like, letter to the law, that's why it was disallowed. But the fouls, it was letting it flow. Klopp he just likes to fucking whinge, doesn't he? Basically, and like he can't do what he was doing. Basically, he was sprinting after the official, and it, like, you can't do that, mate.
No.
It was one of those games, like, City had chances, but they weren't the City of like that we've seen. And Van Dijk, fair play to him, he managed to keep Haaland quiet. He gave him a couple of opportunities, and that was it. So, and it just shows how hard it is to go a season undefeated. Like, no one can do it. Like, City have dropped points again. Like, and I was listening to a stat, and I'm sure I heard it right, but Liverpool have not lost at home in the Premier League for 5 years.
Oh.
Which I suppose figures, like, because out there, what home form's been absolutely amazing, but it was the first time that they was going into a home game not as favourites, but they're still not lost. So, and we had all these beautiful football being played in that game, and the goal that won the game was just a toe punt. Basically, Alisson banged over the top. Cancelo slipped, messed up. Salah put it in. So it was a must-win for Liverpool. I assume that's going to give them confidence, but you never know the way Liverpool have been this season. So we'll just have to see what, like I was saying, Arsenal winning, City losing, 4-point gap now. You have to maximise when your rivals lose or drop points. So Arsenal and Chelsea and Spurs would be kind of happy at the minute. So, yeah, I suppose good result for Liverpool. I thought defensively they were quite strong, which they haven't been all season. But it's one. Is it going to be one of those seasons for Liverpool? On their day, they can beat anyone, but the consistency.
Yeah.
So when I saw Milner at right back, I was like, "Oh dear, that could be a bit naughty." But yeah, he done all right, to be fair.
Nick, what did you think of the game?
I think Man City weren't at they weren't as good as they normally were, and I think Liverpool defensively was reason for that, because the fact Gomez and Van Dijk at set partnership worked really well, and then Liverpool they did have chances to score. Like Salah had, I think he had he had a couple of chances before that, and then Jota, he should have scored a couple of times, and there was a couple of crosses that Liverpool just couldn't get on the end of. I do agree how Klopp reacted wasn't needed, and I think it was merited to him being sent off. And I think Man City, the goal for Salah, it was Cancelo definitely made a mistake there. But I think Liverpool should take on from that and go and move on, and because they got West Ham at midweek at home, and then they got Forest.
I'd laugh if West Ham beat them. That'd be really funny.
And because when I was watching the walk on free darts, the Forest get battered where they go.
It wasn't Leicester that I was, to be honest.
Yeah,
You could have,
yeah.
you would expect, especially that Leicester back.
It would be funny, like the hype how Liverpool have been banging on about they beat City, but when they lost to Arsenal, they didn't want to talk about it. But then if they went and lost to West Ham, it just put them back in their place again, I think. But you never know what West Ham, like that game is a game of two teams that you never know what one's going to turn up.
You didn't expect West Ham to beat Liverpool last season, and they did it. So.
That was at London Stadium, though.
Yes, that is true. But still, I think
you don't know. Like Liverpool, but one of the seasons West Ham got signed at Anfield because I remember Bowen scored.
It could happen. I think it's a case of being careful because there is the beautiful.
I just think it'd be funny
of the Premier League. Matt, what did you think?
Again, another game I haven't really watched, but honestly, just watching the highlights of it, it's another one where VAR could have quite easily intervened and made a meal out of a lot of things. Klopp rightly being sent off for being very, I'm just going to say they're very Klopp. Funny enough, Guardiola also was on it as well, but I don't think he got carded or anything like that. So that's a bit of a oddity. But again, this game used to mean so much over the last couple of years, and now it just seems to be one of these games that you can almost tell that it's coming to the end of an era. Again, I go back to the point of it's been 7 years with Klopp now. His time's basically up, and you've got an aging defence, an aging midfield, and an aging attack. Okay, you brought in two youngsters up front at the start of the season, but if one of them's going to have a hissy fit every 5 minutes, then it's not a good look for the club. Honestly, everyone's going to say all the Arsenal fans were celebrating Happy Invincibles Day as well, because that ends that. But on top of that, honestly, I think even the Salah goal, there was a chance for a foul and it wasn't given. So it was just one of those games where it was just going to be a really odd game, and it was going to be won by the odd 1-0, and it was just really. I know Sky put it down as, I'm going to put it in quote marks here, thrilling. I didn't really see it as thrilling, to be honest. I just
not sure if that's the word I'd use, but
I thought it was a good game.
It was a good game, but it wasn't a thriller.
No.
Saw it more like a boxing match within.
Sky, they love Liverpool.
To me, like the 2-2 result or like a 4-3 would have been a thriller between the two teams. Goals at both ends, constant, Yeah. Wasn't really a thriller, but hey, that was the weekend of the Premier League action. So now we do have a midweek series of games. Not all of them, because Arsenal play PSV. So therefore, the Manchester City-Arsenal fixture is not happening. So that crucial fixture is going to have to wait, because boy, when that will happen, we'll have a lot of riding on it. Well, let's preview a few. We've got 3 midweek games, and I will go around the table and we'll see what we think is going to happen. So the first game is Man United versus Spurs. A tricky one, that one. Difficult. Which way to go, Nick? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, we probably know what George is going to go for, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to tell at the how this is going to go. It could be a really exciting match and a load of goals get scored, or it could be absolutely not very exciting game and it's tight and it's decided by 1 goal. I think Tottenham will be defensive and try to hit on the counter-attack. Well, under Conte, that's how Conte wants to do it. So I think that's how to do it. Man United, I think, struggled with the fact they didn't have Eriksen against Newcastle because of illness. So their creativity wasn't reduced a little bit. But it'll be quite an interesting match for definite. And it's the later kickoff on the Wednesday.
8:15 because of Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so it'll be quite an interesting match. So,
what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to end in a draw, probably.
1-1.
I was thinking 2-2 draw.
George, we know you're going to be backing Tottenham in this game. We just know it.
This is the only time that when I joke around saying, "Oh, a guaranteed United win," that I honestly, truly believe it. I want it to. I said it the other day to Abdi when our Man United easy win against Newcastle, they dropped points. So that don't happen. I'm going to say the same as Nick. I think it could be a draw, but hopefully not the superstitious people ain't listening and let Man United win.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think it'll be close. I think Man United have got to be defensively sound, obviously with Harry Tumble and Song up front. Obviously, with his bedtime stories, he's got a new career now. So,
yes, he's telling the story.
But yeah, I'd say United. It's at Old Trafford as well, so they're going to want to bounce back. It could be interesting though, because Jamie O'Clickbait saying that everyone's pathetic and has a go at Tottenham, and that they're closer to City than Arsenal are. So if they lose,
they're closer to City, but you're 4 points away from City. They are.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, what do I say?
And obviously, I know our game in hand is Man City, but anything you get as a bonus, if you get anything against that, that's a bonus. So you just want your teams, ideally, all to drop points around you. But it'll be a good game. If I'm not going out, which I'm meant to be, but if I don't, I'll try and watch that. Yeah.
So you're going for a draw?
Yeah.
Okay.
1-1.
Matt, what are you going for?
Well, this is the problem at the moment. During our predictor, every time I've gone for a team, they've gone and got knocked out, haven't they? And I predicted West Ham to beat Southampton last week, and West Ham drew to Southampton.
Go for Spurs, then.
I mean, in the golden goal predictor, you are still in second place with quite a nice chunk of points for the
everyone
season.
else is still catching up. I'm surprised I'm second, actually. That was quite funny with me and Darren. It was just like one of us is going to fail. I just ended up biting the bullet in that.
Because I keep forgetting to do it.
Well, you can still catch up the way this is going, mate.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
Honestly, like it's
I'll catch up whenever it's my turn.
Second place is knocked out, so people can now catch up. It's all still to play for the season.
Darren's going to be in there for a long time.
Darren's the hardest one to catch up.
I'm going to be honest. I think, considering what's at stake, and I know it's a bit early, but it's a top 4 finish.
Yeah,
I'm going to go for Man United win 2-0.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, I'm going to be on the draw side. I'm afraid I'm going 1-1 between both teams. I think
ideally for Arsenal, that'd be a best result, a draw.
Yeah, because
it's a struggle to tell. I mean, Spurs are right near us, so if United could make them lose, that would be... If United could win, that wouldn't be so bad in a way for us.
No.
So probably a United win. Actually, no, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go 2-1 United. Because it would be easier for us. So yes, that's the plan. Right, next game. Funny enough, Chelsea-Brentford. What do you think's going to happen, George?
I think it'll be actually quite a good game. Both attacking teams. See how Chelsea defend with their defensive record against Ivan Toney. He's going to cause them a few problems. I think Chelsea will just have enough. So I'll probably say 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay, Nick?
I think this is going to be it's not going to be an easy game for Chelsea. I think Brentford, with the way they play, will cause them problems for definite. With Abuemo, Tony, and their midfield's quite good. So I think Chelsea will edge it. I'll say 3-2 Chelsea, but obviously with Tony scoring for Brentford.
Hopefully.
Stole my prediction. Matt?
Just going through the results, like Chelsea have in the last 5, 2-1 lost. Obviously, the 2-1 loss to Southampton, winning 2-1 to West Ham, winning 2-1 against Palace, winning 3-0 against Villa, winning 2-0 against Villa at the weekend. Whereas Brentford have got a sporadic. They're 5-2 against Leeds, the 3-0 loss, the 0-0 against Bournemouth, the 5-1 loss to Newcastle away, and then the 2-0 at home. If they are looking to cement themselves this season, they're going to rely on their home games. So they're going to want to try and win that. Anything like, we got comments. I'll just quickly say Chelsea win 3-0. Sam is in to say hello all.
Hey,
Sam.
And does Nick know his name is Mick Pages on screen with a laughing emoji?
Oh, hello, Mick. Well,
Mick
I'm gonna go for the same as Nick. Mick. 3-2 Chelsea against Brentford. Right, we move on. We discussed this is going to be a huge
Colin Rooney and Mick Pages.
So hello, Sam. That is Sam is joined us just to let
hello, Sam.
So the last 2 comments were from Sam. No, in the comments he's joined us. Not
right. Liverpool, West Ham. George, where do you see this going?
8-0 West Ham. No,
9-0.
I think obviously Liverpool bounce. They've got the positive result against Man City that they've gone on about for about every second of the day. So I think they'll probably win about 3-1 West Ham. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping West Ham can get something.
Mick Pages, what are you going with?
I think Liverpool will be on high after beating Man City. I think with the fact is at Anfield, I think they have the fans behind them, and the fact
The speakers up.
The one negative from Sunday is Jota went off injured, so I don't know how bad that is. So it might impact him a little bit.
Probably just dropped his wallet, mate. He'll be fine.
And then Trent with Trent back on the bench so quickly, so he'll probably play. But I fancy Liverpool will win comfortably, and I'm going to say 3-0 win for Liverpool.
Okay, Matt, what we going with?
So Sam just commented again to say there's nobody better than Mick Pages with the Alan Shearer celebration of the arm up in the air. Honestly, it's a difficult one again because I'm going to go back on Liverpool's results at home. They've won 2-1 against Newcastle, the 3-3 draw against Brighton, and then obviously last game against City they won. Whereas West Ham, they drew to Southampton, they lost to Everton, and then they lost to lost to themselves, lost to Chelsea 2-1. It's interesting because I think both these teams are in the same sort of situation at the moment. They're both wanting to win. Hold on, is that me? No, right. Okay, I've got. I'll do my prediction, but I think it's going to be Liverpool. Like it'll be another 1-0 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 3-1 Liverpool win as well. I just think they have that bit more. In general, right? That is the show. We will be back in one format or another on a Friday. Could most likely be what we had last Friday. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Something new we're trying out to make our content a bit more versatile, a bit more diverse. If you would like to be one of the lucky contributors to record a short video previewing one of the next weekend's Premier League games, contact us. You're more than welcome, and you'll find out in a minute where to drop us a message. First of all, let's go around the Twitter table, shall we? George, where can people find you?
You can find me at ClockendGeorge on Twitter, and normally at the Emirates somewhere in the Coronet, normally.
Mr. Mick Pages, where can people find you on Twitter?
At Nicholas Pages, or you can find me whenever Falcons play at Kingston Park.
Is that when they lose to Northampton?
No.
Who are they playing next? Who are you playing next, the Falcons?
We are playing Premiership Rugby Cup Wednesday away to Leicester, but then we're not playing again till the 5th of November in the Premiership because of Woffs going into administration.
Ain't they near the bottom, Hubert?
Leicester.
No,
Newcastle.
It's Newcastle.
Newcastle. Well, Worcester are bottom, but they don't count. They're just relegated because they're bankrupt. Then you've got Bath, and then you've got Newcastle. So
no, we're third bottom.
Relegated.
No, we're above. No, we're above. London Irish have dropped below.
Oh yeah, London Irish actually are below you as well. They can't get relegated though. Worcester are officially the relegated team now.
Even though this season there was supposed to be no relegation at all.
Yeah, Saracens paid for it, but Anyway, sport you against Leicester, sad face. Anyway, regardless of that, Matt, where can people find you on Twitter?
Just before we go, Sam has put another one, a prediction of 24-0 to West Ham. He's also dropped in his Twitter, but I don't know. Should I read that out for him because he's technically not on the show tonight? But I'll be nice and say Sam's is Sam Wilson. The one is
where the I is.
It's where the I is, yes.
Because someone stole his one, wasn't it? So Sam Wilson.
His eyes.
So mine is at MattLR28. Mainly tweeting about the women's football, but always talking. Sam, you're only kidding. Well, you're contributing that there. So Sam, you said you're only kidding, but free plug for winning. Yeah. So just my one is at MattLR28.
And mine is at Subsonics UK. That's at SUBSONIX UK. And you can find us on at Golden Goal TV. You can find us on the Facebook group as well. We've got a WhatsApp group. So if you want to message us or anything, or if you want to, like I said, be a contributor on the show, maybe record some videos for us to preview games or even review games, you are more than welcome to contact us and we'll get back to you, of course. like, comment, share, and subscribe, because that's what we need, and that's what we want you to enjoy our content. So click that bell to receive notifications when something's uploaded, because there's plenty of content coming around at the moment. And of course, do watch us say in one way or another next time when we're back on Golden Goal TV. We'll see you soon.